The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Hi, everybody who's joined us so far. My name is Dave Hedeman. I'm the application specialist for the steel segment here at Trimble. And thank you for joining us today for our partner spotlight webinar with Fabsuite. We're really happy to have them here today to show us some of the ways that we can use Tekla structures together with Fabsuite to take advantage of the data that you can get out of your model at really all stages of your projects. So before we really get started, I just want to point out that everybody is going to be in a listen-only mode, so you should be muted. If you have any questions, there is a questions pane in your GoToMeeting window. So go ahead and feel free to type out some questions in there as we go forward. At the end of the webinar, we're going to try to answer as many of those as we can with the time that we have. And afterwards, we'll try to follow up with anybody that we couldn't answer. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to the Fabsuite team. I'd like to welcome Chris Randolph, who's the Product Integration Manager, and Ryan Vanderplatz, the Vice President of Products and Services. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. We appreciate Tekla taking the time to work with us and present this webinar, so we appreciate it.
Right, as you guys can see, today we're going to look at some mind reading techniques. I love these guys. So specifically, we're going to look at how Fabsuite can read the mind of the Tekla model, and we'll look at how Tekla structures can read the mind of Fabsuite. As a result, we'll see how you can save time on your estimates and even get better and more accurate information for your estimates. And we're also going to look at how you can share production status once you get the project. You can share production status information between our two products using the Fabsuite Tekla Model Exchange, or what we call TME. If you're taking notes, we're going to split this demonstration into 3 sections. First, we'll look at a workflow that you could use if you have a full or a detailing Tekla workstation. Next, we'll look at a workflow that uses the construction modeling Tekla station. Now, these are both for creating estimates. And finally, we're going to look at a production workflow using TME. All right, for your estimate, if you're using a full or a detailing Tekla workstation, you're going to get the most information from a KISS file. I know there's newer, flashier file formats that you hear about, but for an estimate, the most data, the best data you're going to get for an estimate is going to be from the KISS file. The reason is that in addition to the bill of material type information you get from other file formats, with a KISS, you're going to get labor data. And it's accurate as far as your model is accurate. Accurate numbers for holes and for welds. If we look at a few lines of this KISS file, this is C32, that's going to be part of our estimate. Keep this information in mind a little bit, because we're going to look at C32 in Fabsuite, and we'll look at it in a model, so we can compare all this information. Here we get, you see these L lines, that's our labor lines, our labor information. And this gives us the number of holes, the size of the holes, and even the thickness of the material that those holes are being punched through. We also get a weld size and length. So we know what labor information, or what labor it's going to take to build this piece. All right, well, our first workflow with the full or the steel detailing Tekla workstation is going to start with your Tekla model. We're going to export that data to a KISS file. We'll import that into Fabsuite, and we'll generate your bid. The rest is up to you. You'll send out the bid, hopefully you get the job, and now you've got a head start on detailing the project. But just a little sidetrack. I worked in detailing for a little over 20 years. This idea of creating a model for a bid, it might be controversial at your company. If you can get a model to import an SDNF or an IFC, whatever, that's one thing. You've got a head start. But to model a job from scratch, is it worth the time? I'll let you in on a little secret. Keep this to yourself. When you send your bid, maybe send a link to a Trimble Connect model, or send a 3D PDF model. Ask a few questions about issues you came across during the input. Just show that you're already intimately familiar with the project and you're way ahead of the pack on the bid. If you're concerned about your experienced guys wasting time when they need to be working on a contract you already have, maybe if you have a newer guy learning to modeling a project for a bid can be a great training tool. So use that young guy, get him some experience creating a model, learning the process, and when you get the job, your experienced guy can go look it over and maybe clean up the mess. That was kind of a joke. So anyone who isn't already a Tekla user, I'll go ahead and show you how easy it is to export the KISS data. We go to our file menu, select export and MIS. We select the KISS option. And we'll save our file. I'll create all to run this on the entire model. And that's it. Right, now we're going to Fabsuite and we're going to import our KISS file. We go to the file dropdown. Under estimating, we select the KISS format and we'll browse for our KISS file. When we click import, we're taken to the estimating job edit window. We'll enter some information for this project. And for example, here, I'm the estimator. I'm going to change our shop efficiency to 100%. If you want to change your job number, job name, any other information, you can do that here also. I'm not using any movie magic here. I just want you to see that the import doesn't take long at all. We have a few little errors that Fabsuite found. These look like concrete pad, footing, slab, nothing that we're concerned with. So it looks like we should have a good import here. Right, now we open our estimating job. Fabsuite created the job automatically when it imported the KISS file. Now first note that your assembly mark is listed in the page column. At the top, we have our man-hour summary. And here, based on the data that you've entered in the background of Fabsuite, so that Fabsuite understands your shop and your practices, Fabsuite gives an estimate on how many man-hours the selected assembly is going to take to fabricate, as well as the totals for the job. If you want to see more detailed data, you can hit Control-D on your keyboard, or go to the estimating drop-down and you select View Labor Details. And we see a breakdown of how the man-hours were calculated for the selected material and for the job. We have time for unloading and loading, cutting, time to punch, weld, and more, just depending on whatever you have customized for your shop. Also note at the bottom right, the additional labor display. This shows what actions will need to be performed on the selected items. Because we have this information from the KISS file, we don't have to change the labor code. So if you've used Fabsuite and you've done a manual estimate, you've probably gone in and added labor codes for the material that you've added into Fabsuite. When you use a KISS file, you don't have to use those because the KISS file has provided all that labor information for you. All right, let's look at a member starting in the model. We're in Trimble Connect, and we're going to look at the C32 that we looked at in that little bit of KISS data. There's two columns that are C32. We'll zoom in on one. You see you've got a base plate that's going to have 4 holes. There's a weld. If we look at the rest of this column, we see we've got some holes in the web, holes in the flange, and some more holes in the web. There's no other material connected to this column. It's a pretty basic column. So go look at our estimate. We'll filter for C32. And if you look at the bottom right in our additional labor area, you see that we're punching holes in the flange that's 9/16 thick. We've got 20 holes there. We have 16 holes in the 5/16 thick web. And we'll click down one and we see our weld where we're welding to the base plate. So all that labor information from our KISS file. We also see our time estimate breakdown. So we can see how much time is estimated, including that labor data for creating that column. All right, once you've reviewed the data, you can generate a report for your estimate. So from the estimating dropdown, we'll select reports. We won't select any filters right now, and we'll scroll all the way down to the summary information to Excel report. Once we save that, we have some magic mojo that kind of goes on here in formatting that report. You end up with a nice formatted report for your bid. You can go in and add some finishing touches and finish that report up and send it off to your client. All right, our next workflow we're going to look at, we're also starting from, this is using your construction modeling workstation. We're again starting from your Tekla model. You're going to run a CSV export, and you'll import that into Fabsuite. From Fabsuite, you'll generate your bid, and hopefully you'll get the job, continue where you left off, and you'll passing the Tekla model off to your detailer. The guys at Tekla have created a great little export that works from the construction station. It creates a CSV, comma-separated values file that has a lot of information that you'll need to create your estimate. Well, Dave, did you want to show something on this, or are we just going to move on and do the import?
I can just mention very briefly about the reason why we have the CSV report is because with a construction modeling license, you're limited to, you can't run a numbering with a construction modeling. But this early in a project, when you're estimating, you don't really need to run a numbering yet. So instead of the KISS file, which requires a numbering, the CSV file allows you to get all of that data out of the model, with the different license type. It's just another way to get that data out.
All right. And are they going to be able to get this export from the?
Yeah. At this point, they can reach out to us for a copy of that report. We will be loading it up to the Tekla warehouse, where you'll be able to download it from there for your Tekla Structures version. It's also worth mentioning that this report could be run through a project viewer license. Obviously, the model would have to be built from someone else, but it would have the same capability to get that data out of the model and then into Fabsuite.
Oh, excellent! That's really cool. All right, well, I already have a file that they've provided, that they've exported from the Tekla model. So I'm going to go ahead and import that. I think I'm going to import that. Here we go. So under estimating, I'm going to select the Excel format because the CSV file is basically an Excel type file. And the first time you import one of these files, you're going to need to map some fields. It's a real easy process. In the interest of time, I've already done that. When you do this, if you need some help, just get with Fabsuite support. We can help you through this. You should just have to do it one time. So I'll skip that in this case. So we should get a smooth import. I'm doing some of the same things here, entering some basic project information. It's also a good idea to add these job groups when you're adding your jobs in Fabsuite. It can make sorting and finding types of projects and when projects were created a lot easier. All right, so now we've got that imported. We're going to open our estimating job. And you see here we have all of our assemblies. We have all their materials. The one thing we don't have that we had with the KISS file is that labor information, but that's not going to be a problem at all. I'm going to show you how we can update a lot of members at once with just a few clicks. So it's the same process that you'd follow as setting up a traditional estimate in Fabsuite, but you have a huge, huge head start because you have all your materials, all your assemblies already in. Okay, much of our labor data is going to come from these labor codes, which you may have dealt with already. We've provided you this document, if you're using Fabsuite, that gives a nice, simple pictures of the labor codes. So in our case, we're going to add some beams with welded clips on both ends. So that's going to be our labor code D. We're also going to add, we have some columns with base plates. We'll go ahead and update those. And those will be our type I. So you could go through and select each beam and change the code. So I select this beam, change it to D. You see it's has welded clips both ends. And I could do the same thing with a column. Change that to type I, and notice your hour estimates at the top, how those change when you add that labor code. What we're going to do is we're going to go use our global edit. I'm going to change just my beams. All my beams are going to have welded clips on both ends for this estimate. Here I can change my labor code, change it to D, welded clips both ends. There's other data I could change in here also. I could add copes if I wanted to add copes to all my beams. I'm not going to do that right in this case. You can add holes, you can add stiffeners to multiple members at a time. And we have a lot of different filters to help you select the proper members. So right now we're just going to update those labor codes on the beams. That was a brace, so that's still A. Let's go down and here we go. Here's a beam. Labor code is D, and that labor for adding those clips has been calculated into our hour calculations. They're the time calculations. Let's look at this column and see how it says 3.77 man hours to make C9. We're going to do our global edit. I'm going to edit our wide flange columns. Change those to type I, so we have a base plate welded at one end. Now you see our C9, the man hour calculation, is now 6.11 hours. Simply by adding that labor code to that column. Right, now we're going to look at our production workflow using Fabsuite TME. Again, we start with our Tekla model. We'll export that using the TME tool, and we'll bring that model into Fabsuite. Then once we've run the job through production, we can export it back to TME and import that back into Tekla so we can see a visual representation of where that job stands right now. Okay, the Fabsuite Tekla Model Exchange, or TME plugin, gives you the ability to round trip your data between Tekla and Fabsuite. So it's data like drawing information, revisions, your bill of material information. There's user-defined fields. And it can also include your drawing files, like your PDFs and your CNC files. So let's see that in action. We'll send a job to Fabsuite using the TME tool. You want to make sure that your tab says Tekla Structures to Fabsuite for an export. I'm exporting with drawing files and with CNC files. And just a little trick as we export from TME, once you have this export completed and the file location, you can select that and hit Control-C to copy that, just so you don't have to browse for that file once we get into Fabsuite. Just a little time saver. So to import into Fabsuite, we'll select the file that TME created. I'm just going to paste it now and import. Right, notice Fabsuite has read the job name from the file, and it's created a production job, and it gives us the option to create a project management job. We're going to do that also. When it's finished, now we'll look at the drawings in project management. You can double click on any of the line items. As long as it had a drawing come in with it, you can view those drawings from within project management. Just a quick note, in project management, if you're not familiar with Fabsuite, you can also manage a lot of other aspects of your job, like your transmittals, RFIs, drawing revisions. So now we're going to production control, and we see the bill of material information that was sent by Tekla. If we double click one of the bold lines, it'll open that drawing. We also got our CNC files sent by Tekla. And if you have a viewer on your workstation, you can view those files from here. The CNC files, just another little side note, those allow Fabsuite to calculate proper weights for each piece. All right, so my shop's been pretty busy in the last few seconds. I've used some movie magic this time, and I've already run some of the steel that we've imported through several stations. We've even loaded some on trucks and shipped them to the job site. So let's look at our production status. From the production control drop-down, we'll select Review Production Status. We've run all of the first sequence, or phase 1 in this case, through all the stations, and we've shipped it to the job site. So all those show up in green. The other sequences, as you can see, are in different stages of production. Some have been cut, some have been through paint, and some are done and just waiting to be loaded on a truck. All right, now we're going to send our status back to Tekla. So exporting the data, it's a simple one-step process. We're just going to export this as a Tekla XML. So back in TME, in Tekla, we'll change our tab to the Fabsuite to Tekla option, and we'll browse for the file and import it. Okay, TME shows us the options that have changed in yellow. You can review these updates to make sure you're seeing what you expect. Then you click the Update Model button. And once it's done, the list will refresh and the yellow will be cleared. Okay, from the Object Representation dropdown, I'm going to select the Status Color option. I've created our own for Fabsuite. I'm going to select the default here. I'll explain this more here in a little bit. I'm just going to manually change this and add Fabsuite to the end. And I'll show you that here shortly. We'll set that, and it brings in my custom colors that I've set up for these statuses. So we see that in dark blue is what's been shipped, and the other colors represent the different stages of production. In our object representation settings, my settings are already loaded, but I'm going to show you where that came from. This color by shop status steel Fabsuite setting, I created that to match my stations in Fabsuite. We have instructions on how you can set this up in your Tekla station. In the Fabsuite Customer Hub under How-To articles, or you can contact our support department and they can get those instructions to you. So our TME import list can also interact with the model. So if you select an item and click Select and Zoom, that piece will be highlighted and centered on the screen. So as you're reviewing this list, if there's something you're not sure about, you can easily zoom to that piece. If it's on hold, if you're looking at approval statuses, if it's not in the station you expected it to be, you can review all that information here. All right, well, I hope this quick run through of what Tekla and Fabsuite can do together has piqued your interest. I know we've just barely gotten our feet wet here in this presentation, but if you'd like to discuss Fabsuite integrations more, my email, you can reach me through integrations@fabsuite.com. In addition to Tekla, we integrate with the systems in your shop, like Steel Projects, Bortman, ProNest, SigmaNest, Steel Solutions, and Bluebeam, just to name a few. And if you don't currently use Fabsuite, you can learn more. We got an awesome sales team. They love to give you a more in-depth view. And now we've got some time for some questions.
All right. Thank you very much for that run through. We've actually been getting quite a few questions during this presentation. We've been trying to answer some of them through the interface on GoToMeeting. Got a couple here that we will, we'll go through, and then anything that we can't get through, we will definitely try to reach out to everybody and answer you, after the webinar is over. So first, it looks like. Let's see here. Regarding KISS files and importing into Fabsuite, do the guys at Fabsuite recommend fabricators who do not detail in-house, should they be using the full version of Tekla? And is it not the same to get the KISS file from the detailer?
So I'll take that question. This is Ryan Vanderplaats. So to be clear, if you're using subcontracted or out-of-house detailing, you can simply contact your detailer if they're doing a estimating model for you and get that KISS file from them. You wouldn't actually need a license of Tekla to get that KISS file. You can just request it from the detailer you're using.
Okay. Next question here. How did you get the Objects tab in Tekla?
And that may be a question that you can explain for them, Dave.
I'm not sure what he means by the Objects tab. Kind of threw me off there.
Sorry about that. Then that may be a question that we'll have to have Tekla answer for that user.
Yeah. All right. So does the project viewer license export KISS or CSV? That part wasn't clear for me. I can actually grab that one. The project viewer license can do both. The only limitation there is that the project viewer license can't do a numbering on its own. So the model would have to be up to date with its numbering first. But then once it is, the project viewer could do a KISS file. Regardless of the KISS file or not, you can write UDAs with the project viewer, so you could do the CSV report alone if the model had already been created for you. All right. Next question here. So if we use an outside detailer for the model, we can't use labor info for estimating. I think you pretty much covered that with your last answer.
But I do want to reiterate that.
Okay.
Just because you have outside detailing, you can still, if you request an estimating model from them, if they send you the KISS file from it, you can simply import that into Fabsuite. So you can use an outside detailer in that workflow.
All right. The TME tool, which is, by the way, the Tekla Model Exchange. We did get a question about what TME stood for. Where is that in Tekla? and how can they get it?
You can download it from the Tekla warehouse, or you can download it from within Fabsuite from your downloads. And we have versions. I saw another question about what version. I'll go ahead and make all that part of one answer. I know we have TME available back to Tekla version 20, and all those are available on the from Fabsuite from within downloads.
Okay.
Once you have it installed, you can just search TME or search Fabsuite from your plugins.
All right. Let's see. Next question. Where's that? I had a thing there. UDAs, quote the acronym longhand. Sorry. UDAs, we do tend to kind of throw out just the letters from our own familiarity. Sorry with that. It stands for user-defined attributes. So those are the additional annotations that you can put on a member besides the physical stuff like weight and length and whatnot. So you can put all kinds of information, different statuses on those members.
And Dave, there was a question in there about what version of Tekla does TME work with. So I just wanted to mention that if you download from Tekla's warehouse, the compatible version there applies to Tekla Structures 16i, Tekla Structures 17i, and Tekla Structures 17. If you're working on a Tekla version that's previous to that, and you're a Fabsuite user, you can actually download them from our license manager. So we support all the versions prior to the current compatible version as well.
Okay. All right, so I think that might be all the time we have for today for these questions. Like I said, if we didn't get to yours, we will try to follow up with you afterwards. And we've been trying to also answer them in that chat window as they've been coming in. So just want to thank you, Chris and Ryan. We really appreciate you joining us today, taking the time to show us some of these workflows between Tekla Structures and Fabsuite. Again, just to reiterate, the TME, Tekla Model Exchange, you can get from Fabsuite, or you can also download from the Tekla warehouse. The CSV report will be available on the warehouse shortly. It is finished. We just got to get it up there for you guys. If you need to try it out today, you can always reach out to us and we can get that copy to you. All right.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
From Fabsuite, thank you for partnering with us and allowing us to show this integration. We appreciate the relationship.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks, guys, for your time.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.